Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaos. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Masks of Nyarlathotep in the England chapter, where we are going to do a little bit more investigating here on the moors in England. But first, introductions. So, to my right.
This is Lonnie. I'm playing Lawrence Edward Oliver Forsyth, and all of a sudden it's a lot colder along the beach than it was before.
Yes, news will do that occasionally to you. Speaking of which, to his right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and I made a confession and didn't get stabbed.
The day is young. At the end of the table.
This is Jack, and I'm playing Jack Doyle, and I'm going for a nice little jaunt out on the moors.
Interesting. To Jack's right.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tottenbach, and this place is just depressing.
Yeah, it's not the greatest, but it could be a lot worse, right? Give it time. To the doctor's right.
This is Tiffany. I play Maeve O'Shea, and I want a dragoon.
All in due time. And last but most certainly not least, your partner in mystical crime.
This is Alex. I'll be playing Simone Gonger, and while us at the Old Ways are not actively looking for sponsors, we would consider all offers.
Oh, thank you for the plug, sir. I appreciate it. So we raised the curtain tonight on a grassy, somewhat beachy area of the moors here. It's a well built up sandbar that the doctor and Mr. Doyle have arrived in. They've set the boat aside and they are continuing to skulk onto the island to get a closer look at the Miser house. So, Jack, tell me your approach.
Well, I think we're going to approach along the river line along the river of the up there towards the gate.
Okay. So are you planning on following the river then to the west to see how it goes around?
Well, you know what? I actually want to try to follow the road more. I want to see where the road goes. Because, most likely if somebody's coming up this way, they're going to be following the road. I am revising my plan.
Okay. So why don't the two of you make me a stealth roll, just to be clear?
That's a 55 over 20.
That's an 81 over 78.
Okay.
So we're a band of drunken dwarves carrying pans.
Well, it's not that bad.
You both think that you're being fairly careful, which is fair. The road comes to a bend, and just beyond that bend is where you begin seeing this gate. The gate is built up over this area, and as you can see, just a little bit beyond it to the west, there seems to be a natural formation here where there's really no way to get through except via the gate. There's a rise here in the land, and so the gate is pretty well positioned, and there appears to be a seat, some sort of chair outside the gate, but there's nobody in it.
Do you think that is for a god, perhaps?
Yeah, probably. Does it look like this is like the main gate?
Definitely.
Okay.
It's no drawbridge by any means, Jack, but it's definitely a gate that is high enough that would prevent people from just simply walking into the land. It also seems to correspond with some of the other features of the landscape here to give some natural cover. And so anybody beyond this rise here in the land would have an excellent position for fire back down towards the road the way you came.
Mm-hmm.
It actually kind of reminds you of some of the hills in France.
I'm going to take a couple of pictures of the wall and gate and the rise.
Alrighty. Doctor, what are you doing?
I'm going to examine as much of the house while he's using the camera. Jack, did you bring binoculars?
Yes, I did.
All right. While you're using the camera, I'm going to grab those and see as much of the house as I can, as close as details-wise as possible.
It's still a fair ways off. But from your position here, you can see the manor itself, not much beyond it. It's a multi-floor structure. It seems to be maybe 2-3 floors from the space that you see. It looks like it's got some sort of horseshoe driveway. Although it's nothing like the Carlisle residence. It's not as opulent by any means.
All right. It's still a fairly large manor house.
Mm-hmm.
Comprised mainly of stone?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. And we're still, are we on the land proper? We're not inside the wall yet, are we?
No, you're not inside the wall yet.
Okay.
You can also see from your position here with the field glasses that there isn't so much a main gate at the wall. You find the position where the road and the wall meet, and it's basically an archway.
Okay, so there isn't like really a gate there. It's just
no. There's a metal gate that's in front of you.
Yeah. Take a closer look at the archway. These people are not to be trusted. Are there any kind of symbols or writing or anything on it?
Nope.
Nothing.
It's a stone archway. You don't see anything written into it or carved into it.
No hanging chicken guts or... All right, fine. From what I can see of the manor house and where we are, is there anyone moving in the manor house? Any movement at all on the grounds from where I can see?
Would be impossible to see. You don't have that level of detail in those glasses.
I figured. Okay. Well, Jack, we are going to have to get closer if we want to see if anyone is home.
Yeah, probably. Did you see a car or anything on the grounds?
Mike, did I see a car?
Yeah, actually, you do. You see a rather elegant silver automobile parked out front of the house.
Yeah, there is a car, Jack. Silver affair.
Nice one?
Yeah.
Huh.
Fairly nice.
I bet that's Gavigan's car. I bet he's here right now.
Should we get closer and see if we can find out?
Yeah, let's see if we can figure out anything a little closer.
All right. Well, let's not push our luck.
Yeah, let's
closer.
Yeah, let's be very careful.
Yeah. And creep forward.
Okay, so you're gonna at some point in the next 100 or so yards, you're gonna encounter that metal gate. The question I have for you is, what will you do about it?
I think when we get up to it, it's what is it built? Is the gate built into? Just like it's covering the road, and then there's river on either side, so it pretty much doesn't need a fence.
No, it's actually built up pieces of land. So the land rises here. It looks almost unnaturally so. And then the gate has been pushed, basically has been anchored between that.
Okay. So it looks like they've fortified, or this was like a land fortification kind of a thing. And then, they have a gate stuck in the middle. Jack, this place is a fortress.
Yeah. How hard would it look like to scale that little land?
I mean, you're a fair climber. It wouldn't be too terribly hard. But again, the thing that your veteran mind probably goes to is you have to be real quiet, because if anybody's on the other side of that thing, they're going to hear you.
Yeah.
And there's no way to tell if anybody is on the other side of it until you get basically up on them.
If you want to try, Jack, I will stay down here and keep an eye on what we can't see.
I want to see what's on the other side. I want to be able to see in there better. And I want to get a couple pictures of the grounds.
I don't think I could do it quietly, so I will stay down here and keep watch.
All right, Jack. Moving forward then?
Yep.
That's a stealth roll for sure.
Hard success, 3,678.
You creep up. You get probably a good 50 yards, and you get to see a little bit more of this area that has been built up. And as you get towards the rise, you go low, and you end up getting on your belly, crawling your way up the rise. And it's at that point that you begin to hear footsteps on the gravel.
Okay, well, I will freeze.
You freeze. With your position here on the rise, you see a man walking away from the gate area, leisurely.
Back toward the house?
Yes, back towards the house. But he seems to be walking with some sort of purpose.
Okay, I'm going to snap a couple pictures of him.
Okay. So your position there on the rise also gives you an excellent view of the estate itself.
Yeah, then I want to get some
at least
pictures.
From an overway, like an overview of it. You can see where the fence, or you can see where the wall on the other side ends. You also see where the main grove is back behind the house, and you get a fair assessment of the territory as far as where the wall goes.
All right, yeah, I want to get some pictures of all that, and then if he's heading towards the house, I think I want to start moving away. I want to see where he goes first.
Okay. You're going to stay with him then?
Yeah.
Visually, anyway.
Yeah.
He walks up to the house and then seems to path to the right, and he comes back left and then enters the main door of the house. Seems to be positioned pretty much in the center.
Okay. Do I see any other movement in there? I use my glasses.
Even with the field glasses from this position, you see you see windows. So there's 3 windows on the left hand side of the house, 2 windows on the right, give or take. They have their curtains drawn though, so it's impossible to see if anybody's moving around.
Okay. All right. And then I will slowly make my way back.
Okay. Doctor, he returns.
What did you see, Jack?
There was somebody out there.
Yeah?
They walked from the gate area to the house.
Perhaps someone inspecting the grounds before
Perhaps.
the ceremony?
I think it's about time for us to get out of here.
No.
What?
Well, I'm wondering if he is checking the grounds for things right now. That means that I wonder if all of the security things are turned off right now. As in, I wonder if the creature thing would show up. I'm speculating. We should go, you're right.
Yeah, I get I'm a little concerned right now. Keep expecting a half dozen guys with guns to show up.
Only a half dozen. You're an optimist, Jack.
Well, I don't like
You're
to.
correct.
Yeah.
Perhaps we wait until the car drives by so we can see more closely who is inside.
Well, we don't even know if the car will drive by. We could be out here for 3 days waiting.
Well, then we would have a front row seat to the festivities.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. We should go back then.
But I want to check out that bridge before we go back. I want to see how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You're going to stop back out to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the bridge itself appears to utilize a turnstile. So it's fitted, and it seems to rotate, or would rotate, on this center column. And it looks like the estate side is what controls the rotation. So boats could pass through here, rowboats, mind you, or maybe smaller fishing boats could pass through here. But if they did, somebody at the estate would have to be involved because the bridge is locked.
Mm-hmm. So it's got like some kind of lock on it.
Yep.
We'll see about that. Not right now, but we'll see about that.
And Jack, on the way back, Jack, that also means that if we can get the controls inside the compound without them seeing, well, there would be no escaping. You know, for driving out.
That's true.
All right. The two of you return with a little bit of information. So at this point in the day, Miss O'Shea and Simone have wrapped up their educational exploits and are perhaps better or perhaps worse, depending upon their perspective. And yeah, everybody else, Mr. Forsyth, Miss Lane, you're all in the hotel when the doctor and Jack reappear.
Well, we have some information. We, Doctor and I took a little jaunt out to the Miser house. I snapped some pictures of the front, the grounds, and we have a reasonable suspicion that Gavigan may already be out of the house.
Or at least he was there today when we were there.
Makes sense.
Well, I doubt he's going to go back to London.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
So, we can do a couple things here. We can keep on our original plan of taking them out on the night of the full moon. The new moon. Or we can go in there now when Gavigan probably is just him and a few men.
We also suspect that Shafiq will be on nearby, if not is already there.
I would think that's a reasonable suspicion. She might be still in London coordinating with the rest of the cult there.
How do you know that Gavigan was there?
Well, there's a car there, a very, very nice car. The kind of car that only belongs to somebody with a lot of money.
Do we know if the car is always there?
No, but like I said, it's a reasonable suspicion that he's probably there. I doubt that he's got more than one car, and he probably doesn't leave it there when he goes back to London.
And let's be honest, a man of his position wouldn't be running down to the Blue Pyramid Club to pick up a bunch of boys and drive them in his own personal car.
Right.
No, but perhaps he would travel with a caravan in order to remain safe, considering he knows that we know that we know.
Well, see, he didn't know we knew about the Miser house. He had no real reason to suspect that. Maybe. But with all this other stuff that has been going on with us, between us and them, there's a very good reason to think that he might have come down here to get out of town, as it were.
This book that we were looking at contains some practice that will allow one to conceal themselves from being seen by these monsters, these creatures from other places. If it works as it says it does, for a short time.
Well, that could be helpful.
Perhaps we should give you an opportunity to develop your photographs.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll probably go start on that right away so that we have something to work with.
I believe there is a matter of acquisition that we must tend to. Or at least that I must tend to.
I can help if you want.
You're welcome too. But I know that there may perhaps be other useful entries in that tome. If you have time, we can make time.
Yeah. I can see what else I can get.
Based on what we saw about that, right? Does it seem like you can, how difficult are these things to, it's like you said it's like drinking a flask, basically?
Yeah, it's like, it will, specifically they say it's a draught.
A draught, okay.
And so it is likely anywhere between,
like by volume,
16 to 24 ounces of liquid at once.
Okay. It's going to be thick too, isn't it? Oh, man.
Have a choke and a smile.
You're not the one who has to drink it. Unless you're gonna.
Who, me? It depends on what we decide to do tactically. This is serves a very specific purpose. It may not even be something that comes into use right away.
It's true.
Nonetheless, it gives me something to do that makes sense. And serves a purpose that I am familiar with, so adieu.
See you again. And I will go back to my book and see if there's more spells I can suss out.
There's no one's hanging around for Jack's amazing plan. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, he went. Did he go back to his room to
Yeah,
develop the photos?
Yeah, he's developing photos. I think his plan may have changed. Somebody threw a monkey wrench at him.
Well, before I go, I want to say something. Well, it has changed a little bit, but I want to say something to Simon, like whisper in his ear. If you can find me some dynamite and fuse and the blasting caps, that would be great.
I nod.
And while we're all in the room, the doc actually also looks at Miss Lane. I have a silly question, but a Rolls Royce is not a cheap car, yes? Automobile?
It is not. You generally wouldn't. You are correct, Doctor. It's generally
Wunderbar.
reserved for folks that are a little bit higher in the class tier.
Jack, then I do believe that you are correct. I believe it can be only Gaffigan, because that car, I mean, it was extremely expensive. You would not have a lackey driving around in such a vehicle. Only somebody with an extreme amount of money, and it would have to be Gaffigan, because only he would show off that much, if you understand what I am saying.
She's probably in there as
There
well.
are probably
maybe,
other
maybe
people
not.
in there as well.
Hey, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Mike, was there any smoke rising from any of the chimneys on the manor house?
Absolutely. And given your background, given your upbringing, James, the doctor would probably assume that the house likely has staff. It's a big manor house.
Hey, Jack, maybe we cannot find Gaffigan himself, but I doubt he makes his own food. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, someone must tend to him, and I doubt that the staff usually does not live on the property. They live nearby. Maybe that is our way in.
These might live on the property. It's kind of out of the way.
Even so.
And it's possible that they're also members of the cult.
Oh, I assume they are. At this point, if they are involved, they are involved. But, I'm wondering if perhaps that is an angle that we might utilize.
Well, we can look into it. So, if nothing else, I go develop photo.
Okay. So this will butt us up right to the evening for the most part. So, Jack, you develop your photos. Maybe you go back and read some more. And the rest of you, I know that Simone, you're concocting or attempting to gather your sundry ingredients.
Yeah, I'll be looking for everything that I need for the fluid. While I'm out and about, I will be trying to figure out whether or not there is a place nearby where I might locate dynamite, blasting caps, and a fuse. If there's a mine, any industry, any...
Well, it's very common back then to do what they call dynamite farming. So it's very common for dynamite and stuff to be in general stores. And stuff. Anywhere there's that farming might be going on.
Yeah, it's also used for pest control.
Pest control, a large boulder removal.
Yeah, with respect to how the story will play out, I think the availability of dynamite maybe should be left up to me. But
well, that's fine. I'm just telling you, historically.
Sure.
I brought a backpack of it.
Didn't everybody? Yeah, I wouldn't say that it is impossible to get. I guess the factors that I would factor into this for you, Simone, are the size of the location you're in, right? So Walton on the Naze is not a very large location.
Mm-hmm.
It is also mostly off tourist season. Not that more tourists means more dynamite per se, but just means that less people are in town. Maybe it's something that's easier to get in Colchester because it's a larger town.
Well, so I have kind of the afternoon, right?
You have 2.5 days as far as
Right.
your mental process goes.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll spend the rest of the daylight hours taking care of everything I can here in Walton, right? Walton on the
Mhm.
Naze. And then depending on what I'm missing, if I feel like I have to go to a larger place or like a nearby, larger town, then I'll let the group know I'm going to make that trip before I make that trip. And see
Okay.
if there's anything else they need, basically. Because I'm going to make a run. I may as well make a run.
I would say that from your ingredient list that you got, it is likely that you'd be able to spend the balance of the day and collect all of the ingredients to make the draught.
Okay.
I think it's reasonable enough. I think some of the spices you'll probably have to get a little picky about, just because you know that the recipe calls for some pretty invigorating spices.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you give me a luck roll? We'll see how you do on it.
I have to.
You do.
It's so bad. 87 out of 30.
So you don't find the hotter of the ingredients that you're looking for, but you think that you've got a decent substitute. Maybe you just have to double up on it.
Or concentrate it. So I can just get more of it. And then distill it down.
Okay. You want to give me a chemistry roll?
Sure. To bring your capsaicin with a 45 out of 54.
So you spend the balance of the day collecting ingredients and then basically distilling, making a sort of hot sauce.
It's chili, yes.
Pepper spray. You know that if you were back in the old country, so to speak, this would have been a lot easier to make.
I will be making sure I do it in a very well ventilated area while wearing a scarf and keeping my eyes hooded.
Okay. Yeah, you spend probably all the way up until dinner time making it, and by then, like, you're weeping from the amount of spice in the air. And you probably muse at some point, boy, if there was a spice shop around here.
Oh.
Right. Jack, your photos come out really well, and you get a couple of good shots of the property in decent light. And it doesn't give you any more confidence per se about like some sort of all-out assault on the place. But what you do come across is the knowledge, moreover, that the grove that sits at the back of the house is pretty well protected. So something important probably happens back there. Because it is, roughly speaking, the furthest point from most of the walls here. And it's not something you can see from the front of the house totally. Like, it's a bit obscured. So, something to think about.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let everybody else see the picture so that we can come up with something.
Okay. Are you guys going to collect for dinner then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We never talked about yield.
Oh, how much you get out of it?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good chemistry roll. So we'll say you've made enough for 2 draughts.
Okay.
Each one is about 18 ounces of liquid apiece and will likely cause indigestion, which might be its goal, actually, come to think of it.
Only way to know whether or not it's going to kill somebody is to give it a taste test. So I'll be sure to wait until we're all at the table.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
You all get served from the staff here. It's a nice roast, some potatoes, and some carrots. You've had it before a couple of days ago, but it is definitely something that fills you up.
I'm probably still, I have my books at the table.
I think I'm going to wait until everybody's done eating, and I'm probably going to let my meal sit.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I just don't want to eat first. I really don't.
Are we discussing dinner? Are we discussing while we're eating dinner? Or has
No.
everyone gone quiet while we're eating?
Oh, I'm reading, so
Yeah.
I'm doing my usual thing.
I'm wondering, perhaps, if the forest in back is actually the site of power, not the house.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, you were describing places of power, and a grove of trees sounds to me much more like an ancient place of power than some house
Are
that's out in the
they
middle of a swamp.
well? Are they in a perfect circle?
Well, there might be a perfect circle of them on the inside, but it is extremely well protected. And it is at the center of the place. So if I were to say, from the photos, if there was a heart, it would not be the house, but it would in fact be the grove of trees.
That's very possible. Not outside the realm of possibility at all.
But that also means that if there was a fight, Jack, that it would be in the forest, which my limited understanding of combat knowledge is to say that makes things much more difficult, yeah?
Yes, much more difficult.
We were able to procure what we needed for a couple of these elixirs, draughts, in order to get some of the other items that Jack has requested. I think one of us should make a trip to, was it Colchester? In the nearby towns. These stores here just don't seem to carry many utility supplies. But I'm glad we are all here because, well, in case something were to happen, the doctor is present and the specialist is present and witnesses are here. So I'm going to take one of the flasks and pour it into... There's not really a shot glass nearby, so I'll probably just pour it in the bottom of a teacup. Just a little bit, enough.
Alrighty.
Cheers.
I brace myself.
Doc raises a cup of coffee. Salud.
And down the hatch.
Oh boy. All right. So here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to make me a hard con roll.
Why is it gotta be hard? 28 out of 65 is a hard success.
Spend two magic points.
Oh yeah.
He turns into Macho Man Randy Savage.
That is some jerk chicken. Oh my goodness.
You down this, and it is really difficult to keep down. Really difficult.
I grip the side of the table, dig my fingers in, and just kind of grip my teeth and
Simone's face turns red.
Wince.
Doc casually puts his doctor's bag in his lap.
I haven't breathed yet.
No, you haven't.
I'm just letting it process.
There's a welling inside your lungs.
Not
it
yet.
feels like the bottom of your lungs are on fire, and it's drawing itself up into your chest, into your center, the center mass of you. And then after that point, it kind of arcs out across your pectorals. It's at this point, those of you who are at the table begin seeing very small tendrils of smoke emit from Simone's nose.
So it's not in my belly, it's in my lungs.
Well, it is now.
Okay. So it moved. Awesome. I'm gonna open my eyes.
Yes, they're bloodshot.
And I'm gonna look around at everyone, and I'm gonna stand up, and I'm going to look up.
All right.
And then breathe.
You exhale a gout of what looks at first like smoke, but then just continues to be exhaled. And for Miss Lane and Miss O'Shea and the doctor and Mr. Forsyth, the consistency reminds you of the hotel fog. Just for a moment.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah. At least we know what they used.
It blankets the table area, it settles in this rolling curtain of fog around the table for just a moment, and then another heartbeat passes, and it then dissipates.
How did it feel coming up?
It felt like your body ejected something that you didn't even realize it could. It was almost involuntary. For those of you sitting around the table still, obviously, Simone's eyes are bloodshot, and his nose continues to kind of exhale little tendrils of this mist for the next few minutes.
I'll sit down, like just look real, just uncomfortable in the face, and I'm gonna bring my food back over and just kind of frustratingly pick at and like shove things into my mouth and breathe it through my nose, kind of, just to try to get this scent mingled with other things. But I probably just look pissed.
The food tastes phenomenal now.
I probably suddenly look very distracted and start flipping through pages.
Is everyone okay? Hey?
We are all fine.
I give a thumbs up and just put some more bread in my mouth. It's more spicy than I would have liked. Do we know if it worked, Mademoiselle? I'll kind of wave a hand under May's nose.
Yeah, it worked.
Face of the book.
Don't die.
Yeah, I just keep looking for stuff to eat.
So does that mean we all have to take this liquid then? If we are going onto the property?
No.
So will one person taking it hide everybody from it if the smoke envelops them?
I would assume if you drink the whole thing, it makes it bigger, because notice he only drank a little bit, and there was only a little. And if he's only got enough for two, I mean, 2 people could take it, but about it. So, Jack, remember when we were in Peru, and there was, we both had a vision that was similar about Peru, and it was about Mendoza being the monster, and we saw those the gold circle thing.
Yeah.
And I also saw a thing that said one who whispers. Okay, so I just found this passage in this book that also refers to the crawling chaos, who is also the one who whispers, who also is tied to
Nyarlathotep?
Yes. God damn it. One of these days I'll say that word. If we're talking all the way back from Peru, how much of this is all
connected?
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is a lot bigger than we suspected. New York, London, Cairo, Shanghai, who knows where else? Peru?
Yeah.
Then Gaffigan is merely a stepping stone, a rung on a ladder that we are climbing.
Well, so the god that I spoke to that Simone referred to earlier had also said, he also referenced the crawling chaos, and he also said that there are many of those who follow Nyarlathotep. He also wants them gone. Now, this god, let me point out, he is one of healing and protection. It's not some scary, gonna eat us while we sleep kind of god. I mean, he can be angry, any god can. But anyway, so the reason I came across the crawling chaos is because I was looking up for creatures that fit what Simone was talking about. And yeah, so they do have minions. And it sounds like it's those creatures. So there could be a lot of them. Or only one.
Oh, good.
So I guess I would say just to bear in mind that while these draughts may prove to be useful, it is not as simple as we use it to go in, we use it to go out. We should probably consider larger ramifications and more tactical approaches, right, Monsieur Doyle? Oh,
absolutely.
Well, nothing's for free.
I grab Maeve's tea.
So if you drink this, And considering how just that little bit made you feel, that person may be incapacitated for a little bit. Also, it doesn't sound like it's going to last very long. It's going to be a distraction. I would say you keep it, and if you need it, it's a last-ditch effort to escape. I'm going to look for more spells in this other book. I don't like where any of this is going.
What's of the seashell? What is its purpose? Why was it among the objects that we got from Gavigan's shipment?
That I don't know. It seemed like a shell to me. Right, Mike?
It did. The doctor did abscond with it for a little while.
Oh, that's right. Then I guess I look at the doctor. What did you think the shell was?
At the time, Doctor, you inspected it but didn't glean anything from it per se.
I had not really considered it to be anything more than a shell. Although, considering the company it was traveling in, I'm sure there's something just below the surface that is probably quite horrible.
The only other thing I can think of is if you blow in it, it may summon something.
Is there any way to determine what that might be without actually doing it?
I haven't seen anything about shells. I can take a closer look at it and see if there's any like carvings or anything on it.
Well, depending on what Jack sees fit for us to do, there is a reason that you asked for construction materials, yes?
Yes. We go in here. I want to make sure that our back is covered. Right now there's a bridge that crosses over the river that cuts off the main house from the road. It's on a turn, so we can turn it so it's away from the road, but if the cultists are on their way out here, I want to be able to plant dynamite on the other side of the river so that we can blow up anything on the other side if they have a large group of people coming.
Jack, describe this bridge to me.
All right, I'll describe it.
Yeah, so the bridge he describes is basically a turnstile bridge. It's a single center pillar with two bridge pieces, right, out from the center. And when the locking arms on one end are opened, the bridge can be moved so it can be allowed to turn so that way boats can get through. It's a pretty basic design that you're really familiar with.
If I remember correctly, there's usually a way to handle it at the bridge as well. Because wherever remote station that you're from, well, things break. Wiring goes bad. So there's always a second way to make sure that the bridge can turn.
Doc moves some of the glasses out of the way and puts a piece of paper down on the table. Perhaps we should sketch the grounds as well as the bridge so that we are all up to date and we can all visualize exactly what we are going to do, yeah?
Yeah,
Do I
probably
have
a good idea.
shell in my possession?
You do.
Yeah, you do. You didn't leave it to him, so you still have it. Yeah, it's in your trunk.
Well, then I'll just get up and go get the shell and then come back and start looking at it.
Okay. So it's a hard natural world roll.
Natural world. Nobody got that. Actually, probably somebody does.
I got bronchitis.
I bet I know somebody who's got natural world.
Nope, that was a 60 out of 10.
Mike?
Yeah. Yes, James.
I make sure I grab that glass that Simone had that fluid in, too.
Okay. Simone, he's taken the glass that you had. He is paying close attention to it. Seems very curious.
There's a part of me that wants to tell him not to touch his eyes after he's done, but I'm just going to let it happen.
He wafts it first, hand wave above the cup just a little to...
Wow, that's spicy. Whew.
I just put the shell down on the table because I don't know. Looks like a shell.
It's very pretty, at least on the inside.
Like when you described it, it sounded like something that could be. It was a conch, right? Like it looks like it can be blown.
Mm-hmm.
It's dull on the outside, but the interior is pearlescent. It almost looks like the night sky is folded around a cloud.
Telling you, that's what you do. But I don't have natural world. Anybody else want to look at the shell? It's a
I
shell.
can take a look, but I can't guarantee anything.
It's pretty.
Nope. 79 over 17. Not gonna do it.
Okay.
Oh, we're all going to check it out. You never know.
You might as well. Law of averages, right?
Ooh, I'm going to spend a point of luck.
Woohoo!
Okay.
So I was going to say, I'm looking at the show and I'm just trying to figure out. So I spent a lot of time on beaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get a, like, the fact that the exterior is kind of dull and nasty seems sane, right? Because it's like these things would tend to nest and be buried and conceal themselves, but like the interior is what tells you the most about what used to live in it. Does this seem like the home of a natural creature? Like, does this...
Yes, actually, for you, it does. It absolutely does. So this, and you've seen them before, is a horse conch. So it is one of the largest naturally occurring snails in the world. And you've seen one before in a collection on, let's just say, an island.
But this one seems to be like functional to some degree.
Yeah, it's a dull gray on the outside, but on the inside of it, you can tell from that lip when you turn it over, where a snail would, normally have its body protruding out of. There's some pearlescence in there.
Do you mind if I take a look at that?
Please, I'll pass it over.
I take it from him. Thank you, Mike. I'd like to use my
Pottery of Evil.
My pottery of evil. Yes.
Okay. That's not what you have, but I mean, pottery of evil is what it's been called.
Yes. And that's what we're going to refer to it. # pottery of evil, henceforth. That's what we're going to call it.
Yes. You have a particular set of skills. So you're going to use psychometry on it?
I am.
Okay. So if you would like, go ahead and touch it. And then spend 1d10 minutes concentrating on it. So this is the best part of the dinner, which is when, Miss Lane stands for 6 or so minutes and concentrates on this big shell.
I'm rubbing on the shell, yes.
All right. So roll your skill roll for psychometry.
Oh my gosh. Can I push it?
That's
Can I
wonderful.
push
Oh,
it?
yeah. How are you going to push it?
Don't push a shit.
I
Your head's going to blow up.
take the shell and I grip it more towards my body to try to and focus on the shell and all my energy on that and try to just block out everybody else around me.
Okay.
Should I push it?
Yeah, you can absolutely
We're not
push
putting
it.
my mouth on it, okay? And blow it like they do in Little Mermaid. Okay. Oh my.
Oh, no.
All right. So
Gnarly.
you spend several minutes with this shell, focusing hard on it, taking your hands and getting into the interior, feeling around on the stones. And as you do so, you get an intense, like almost wave of sorrow that just comes over you. And you feel connected to the life that once called this home. And then the subsequent lives that have called it home before. And you get into this rolling, racking, emotional pain over the life forms which have lived and existed and died. You feel yourself pulled up from the ocean floor by a powerful wave. You were beached. You lay baking in the sun for hours until a mammalian form picks you up. And your last after echoes is of a vision of something far, far from human plucking out your guts and ripping you out of this shell before devouring you completely. And so now, I would like you to roll 1d6 and add 4 to it.
Okay. I got a 10.
Lose 10 points of magic.
Whoa. That's like
Ouch.
everything.
Yep.
Can I go into negative?
Sure. Do you only have 9 points of magic?
Well, I don't think I gained anything back after the last time I used psychometry, so I'm assuming I would be full by now.
You'd be full. You'd be
Okay,
absolutely full, yeah.
So then I'd be 0. All right.
Okay. You pass out at the table. So after the time she spends, she has a physical seizure at the table and collapses out of the chair with the shell floundering onto the floor as it cracks.
I was going to try to catch it.
The shell. You were going to catch the shell, not me.
Doc gets up and goes over and takes her pulse, checks her vitals, and lets her recover for a few minutes before attempting to wake her again.
Pulse is shallow and her vitals are not great.
I will pick her up and start carrying her upstairs.
Put her in her room. I will monitor.
What's she doing?
Not well.
No,
Whatever she did, it took a massive toll on.
Has she ever done something like this before?
Mm-hmm.
Is she ill?
No, she is not ill. It is a side effect, I suspect, of what her ability is, and in this case, reading a normal object, I imagine, is not difficult. This is not a normal object. I imagine it was like putting her brain in a fire.
Well, it's cracked now, so...
Yeah. Well, perhaps that is for the best. I will be up in Miss Lane's room. And the doc goes up and plops down next to Miss Lane when he gets...
I look over at Simone. So do you want to go to the beach and go blow it and see what happens?
I should probably begin to make preparations to venture to...
Yeah, but this will take like 2 seconds.
Assuming that nothing crawls out of the ocean and attempt to eat us.
Well, that's true.
Perhaps another time.
Don't tell me you're not curious. After reading what we've read?
Curiosity has its time and place. We have much we need to do, and exploration is only as good as it's serving our purpose. Be more concerned with the things that we do know, the things that you do know, the things in your possession that are at least serviceable or useful at this time.
Okay, I'll look for more spells.
What other... are there any other objects or items that come to mind as potentially useful?
Well, I already told you. The scepters, the robe only because it holds the scepters.
The robe. Oh, yes. And you said that your knife was for killing. The knife that I gave you was in no condition to be used as a weapon.
Are you sure about that?
It was corroded and pitted. It would have broken against a stiff leather.
I'll pull the knife out of my bag and set it on the table.
That does not look much like the knife you handed her. The bronze coloring has come back somehow, some way. The blade's material has regenerated.
Like, this goes beyond like restoration. Like, this is...
Yes, it's
like
troubling.
reformed.
Yes. It's not all the way there, but it's definitely not the feeble blade you handed her.
Does this look like a ceremonial weapon, or does this look like a murder weapon?
This looks like an assassin's weapon.
Like, this is a weapon for killing.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said.
There's nothing ceremonial about it anymore. The actual form of the blade has begun to return.
I am not going to ask how this came to be, but your relation tells me that you had something to do with it, yes?
What, that I had something to do with it? Yes. To find out how it worked. I know how it works. It's not for anything other than killing.
You did say that these things came with a price.
Yes, they all do.
I'll kind of gesture over the what looks like it hasn't been... You said it's not fully reformed yet?
Nope.
Like, what's missing?
A fair amount of the interior of the weapon is still pitted and fairly damaged. You're not certain it would really hold up in an actual fight, mostly because the main body of the weapon is still
compromised.
Still compromised.
What do you believe it will take to fully restore it?
Blood.
I'll raise an eyebrow.
It's made for killing. It will still cut somebody.
Is it just us here? Look around.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else left.
Just tell me you did not kill anyone.
No, I promise. I didn't kill anybody. I was saving the rest of this knife for our fight.
Or you have a gun.
Yes.
You wish to spill his blood with this.
Hope so.
I'll spin it around and like push it to her hilt first. You know how to use it?
I'm okay at using it. I wouldn't say I'm great. I'm used to using ceremonial knives.
I will close her book in front of her and push my chair away from the table. And I'm going to offer her her knife hilt first. Show me.
Okay.
I press it into her hand.
I'll take it.
When you press it into her hand, Simone, you feel something almost scaly about the hilt. Just for a moment.
Let me see how easy she is with it. Like, when she has her hand on it, does she look like she could kill somebody with it?
Absolutely. It's a bit unnerving.
I'll stand to the side of her. Show me how you would stab someone with this blade.
Okay. Do you want me to roll for that, Mike?
No, that's not necessary.
Attack an imaginary fiend with my blade.
When she makes a swipe with this blade, there's just something extra auditorily. You hear something in the air. It almost whistles. Now, maybe it's the deformation still left in the blade that it's causing it, but there's definitely something about this weapon.
So, she seemed really passionate about this. And I guess what I'm trying to piece together is, I've used a knife. I've seen people use knives. Does she use this knife the way that someone would use a knife? Or is there a uniqueness to her using this knife? Does what she's doing seem trained or instinctive?
It seems more instinctive, and that's mostly because she's using it primarily when she swings it, when she made her swing with it. She used it from a blade backward position.
Like a fang.
Yeah. The pommel is, the end is out front. And when she swipes with the blade basically against her forearm.
It's an interesting combat style. Is this traditional for you?
I guess. How I feel like you would attack someone. It's not like I get into fights every day.
Humor me. I'm going to kind of help her ease her hand to the table with the knife in it. And just kind of pat her hand, trying to get her to very least ease off of it and just like kind of let it go. I'm going to try to roll it away from her hand to see if she's agreeable.
Sure.
And then I'm going to pull my knife from my boot and slap it into her hand. Hilt first. And I back away with my hands out.
Yeah, I mean, she immediately reverses her grip and points the blade at not you, but out front.
How do you feel?
I don't like this one.
It's a perfectly capable knife. Take it from her, put it back in my boot. Just get back to work.
Oh, put my knife back.
Do you require anything from Miss Colchester?
There was a book, too, that Lillian and Jack brought back, correct, Mike?
From...
I have the list. So they got the mirror.
It is.
There's a scroll in Arabic.
No,
Is the book?
No, the book is in Arabic.
Oh, the book is in Arabic.
The scroll is in hieroglyphics.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure I have my notes right.
Yep, that's okay.
I don't think I'll need anything, Simone, from Colchester. Where is that where you're going?
I believe so, yes.
I don't think so, but I haven't looked at all the spells yet to know if there's anything else that'll be needed. So I guess I'll have to work with what we've got.
Well, I will have to, I won't be leaving until morning, so you have some time.
Okay.
I'll do the rounds and see if anybody else needs anything. Just kind of take a list.
Okay.
Then I'll settle in so that I can get up early.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll head back to my room and start studying all night long.
Okay. Does anybody else give Simone items for his list?
He's got my list.
Yeah, I know what Jack wants.
I pretty much have what I need.
Okay.
Nope, Doc has what he needs.
I'm pretty sure I'm still passed out.
Yeah, you are most definitely still passed out. Although you will wake in the morning with your magic points back.
Sweet.
So you regain 1 per hour, so you'll be A-okay.
Do I get mine back too?
Yeah, you do. It's an exhausting process, but you get it. It's your first time really spending MP, so
Yeah. I burp
Yeah.
a lot.
you're not familiar with that battery being tapped.
A
So
little gassy.
right. Okay. So you travel to Colchester the next day. So it's now less than 2 days until the new moon. Acquiring the items in Colchester is going to be a credit rating roll. Not that you can't find them, but they are definitely going to want to make sure that they're selling to the right people.
Yeah, about that. We'll see how it goes. An 86 out of 20.
Okay. So your trip to Colchester in the morning is less than fruitful on the dynamite front. You're not necessarily certain that it's because they don't have any.
Oh, I know. I understand.
Yeah.
But that just makes part 2 of this much more justified.
Fair enough.
Because I'm not leaving without dynamite.
So how are you getting it?
Depending on if it's like I'm guessing it's like a general store.
Yeah, it's more of an agricultural store, actually.
Sure. Well, I will, after being told that they don't have what I need in so many words, I will not press the issue, and it looks like I'm going to be spending the better part of the late afternoon into the evening in Colchester and paying this place a visit after hours.
Very good. Okay, so your plan then after hours would be to circumvent the windows or door, whatnot, to gain entry?
Yeah, I'm sure that there's other stuff in here that I could use too, so...
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, why don't you give me a stealth roll, and then I guess tell me how you'd get into the place. What?
Well, assuming it's like I don't know if it's like a storefront or a warehouse.
It's definitely a storefront.
Depending on how large it is, I would either use whatever their delivery entrance looks like, or whatever they use for moving crates or items, or wherever they, shipping, wherever receiving they do.
Yeah.
I would probably utilize whatever entrance is on that side, whether it be a window or a door. I'm not
It's an
making sure that
overhead,
no one's is.
actually.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a garage door that's built in the back of this place.
Is there a skylight?
No.
I'll make my stealth roll for you. The hard success, 38 out of 83.
Yeah, so you know that you've got it handled on the quiet side.
Then I will skulk around to look for, because the overhead doors are that's a little too obvious, a little too loud. I would much rather use a window or a side door if I could.
Okay, window for sure.
Okay. I will test the windows and see if they decided to leave one open for me.
Well, this window's not locked. Not a whole lot of people lock their windows.
Well, sure.
It's the 20s. Who's going to lock their windows?
How convenient for me.
Doors, maybe.
And then I will slink my way in.
Okay. So, getting into the back storeroom here with a Are you going to use a torch covered with your hand, or how are you going to illuminate the area?
So if it's pitch black?
Well, it's almost new moon, so there's not a whole lot of moonlight.
Oh, nice. So depending on what else is in the area, because I feel like if a torch, if it's pitch black and there's no other lights anywhere nearby, then I feel like a torch would be kind of a dead giveaway. So what I would probably do is use my matches intermittently without setting any dynamite on fire to get a look around and see what I can see to determine what I need to hit. And then I'll use, instead of using my torch, which is probably pretty bright, I'll use my lantern. I can turn that way low and then just have like a super dim ball basically that I can use to grab what I need to grab.
Sure. It does not take you long to locate the objects of your desire.
Okay.
There are 5 sticks of dynamite here, readily easy to grab. And then there are blasting caps and even fuse line.
Great. So I will definitely grab those. I actually just found. Yeah, I grabbed the explosives and make sure those are nice and secured in my tight case. And then I'll loosen my collar a bit and kind of poke my head around, and we'll see what else they have here. I'll take a look around.
Yeah. So you find, in summation, what were you looking for?
I don't know, but I'm agitated, Keeper. I'm agitated with the owner of the shop, so I'm looking for things that would be, I don't know, difficult to get, difficult to re-get, or that are particularly interesting. I'm assuming there's not like a 75mm field gun in here.
No.
Or a flamethrower.
But it does seem that the fates have smiled on you this evening. Because there is something at the far end of the room that catches your eye.
Oh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh?
And that's a .303 Lee Enfield rifle.
I make my O face.
At, roughly 100 yards, it's one heck of a rifle.
Yeah, I make a solid O face, and I will dance over to it.
Okay.
And I will introduce myself to it, and I welcome it into my arms. Along with that box of ammunition.
Yep. Easily.
All right. Yeah, if I'm satisfied, then that'll do.
Okay. So I think, as you're going to likely abscond with said pieces and then head back to Walton on the Naze, that is as good a time as any. Now, next episode, we're going to pick up during day 2 for the rest of our investigators as the new moon gets closer and closer. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Masks of Nyarlathotep. I want to thank our patron backers, and I want to thank all of the folks on our Discord server. So if you're not a part of the Discord community, please search us out on Discord or stop by any of our social media imprints and come join the community. Come talk with us. Come hang out. We have tons of fun. So we will see you next episode.